Hi, my name is Anushri and I'm an incoming third-year Sauder student specializing in finance.
I'm Shin Oblander. I'm an assistant professor in the Marketing and Behavioural Science division, and I teach marketing analysis, Com 363.
If you could visit any city in the world tomorrow, where would you go?
I think I'd have to say Chongqing, China, because it has really unique kind of urban geography and terrain. There's some really cool stuff there.
I've heard you love trains. What has been your favorite train ride or transit experience so far?
Honestly, one of my favorite or most memorable experiences was going with a friend and riding the whole SkyTrain system in one day. Got to see all the different parts of Metro Vancouver and all the sites. It was really cool.
So AI and machine learning are shaking up marketing. What do you think students should start learning now to stay ahead?
AI and machine learning have sort of been working their way into the business school curriculum over the last decade or so. I think it's really important that product managers and people in that type of role are able to communicate with data scientists and so on. And so, in the context of kind of modern Gen AI tools, I try to teach a little bit of it in my class about kind of at a high level, what are large language models trained to do, what tasks are they good at doing and not good at doing, to try to give my students a bit of like a caveat emptor of, basically what should they be watching out for, looking out for when they're using these tools.
You've studied competitive decision-making in Pokémon tournaments. Could you tell us a bit about that research and what that can tell us about real-world business strategy?
Yeah, so in this project, I'm studying how people decide which Pokemon to put on their team in competitive gameplay. So this is a very complex decision, right? It's like there's hundreds of characters, you pick 6 of them. And I think this has some analogy to kind of how managers make decisions about things like product line assortments or which channels to advertise when they're determining their marketing mix. And I really wanted to understand basically what sorts of strategies do people use, how well are they able to kind of reason strategically or optimally, right? The difficulty there being that when you have such kind of complex, high-dimensional decisions, it can be really tricky to analyze and sort of understand what information people are accounting for. And so there's kind of a methodological component to the paper where I'm proposing machine learning methodology that basically allows us to simplify people's decisions to then be able to try to decompose sort of what information people are accounting for in their decisions. So people are able to do a little bit of this kind of reasoning with like, okay, if my opponent did A, then I should do B to counter that. But people tend to kind of underweight this information and put more emphasis on the kind of simpler heuristics like just imitating what's popular, even though this tends to lead to worse performance overall.
That's very interesting. I've never really thought about Pokemon in that dimension. So your research on subscription programs like DoorDash's DashPass found that 79% of consumers actually lose money. What can students take away from this about consumer behavior, and how can they think about subscriptions more responsibly?
So in this research, what we find is when we're looking at these sort of cost-reducing subscription programs, so like DashPass, where you pay a monthly fee and then you have, say, a delivery fee waived or something like that, most people are not actually using these subscriptions enough to get their money's worth, and so they're losing money on the subscription. And most people still fail to cancel their subscription even once it becomes clear that they're losing money. And so, what this really tells us about consumer behavior is that people are bad at forecasting their own future behavior. They'll make overly optimistic assumptions, and often they may be inattentive and fail to cancel a subscription even when they're not getting their money's worth, and just let these things keep charging the recurring fees. So this is a big reason why we see a lot of businesses shift towards subscription models, because they're sort of relying on consumers not really paying attention or not doing the math to realize if they're getting their money's worth. The lesson that we can take away from it is, with any kind of product or offering, you need to think about how they're making money. Is it relying on you making a bad decision? Basically be aware of that when you're making decisions about whether to sign up for something.
I've read that you're a big fan of trains in transit. How does that passion shape the way you think about people, communities, and even marketing?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to public transit, getting around by walking, biking, taking transit gives you a much more like human scale feeling of the world around you. right? It's totally different from when you're just in a car going from point A to point B all the time, that you see other people. Again, you experience everything on like a human scale. And so I think this just connects you to other people and the city in a way that doesn't happen otherwise.
Thanks so much for sitting down with me. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, likewise. It's always fun to chat about research and life.